Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. It's December 8th, 2022. My name's Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. You would think I would clear my throat before the show started. Okay, sorry about that. Welcome to today's show on Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. All right, we're going to be talking. I hope we got two superintendents here. Only one is called in right now. It's an AASA show. Thank you, Jimmy Minicello. Jeez. For setting this up. I've got Mary Templeton here, who's the superintendent of Washougal School District down in Washougal, Washington, okay, across the country. And yes, we have two superintendents here. Corey Tafoya is here from Harvard, Illinois. And both of these districts have been, by the way, Harvard separates the community unit school district 50. You never know how Illinois school districts work. I want to make sure we get that right, okay? Both of these districts have been selected by AASA as what they call lighthouse districts. They're exemplary. Okay, we're going to find out what they're doing and why they were selected, and more importantly, okay, looking at the future of education, things have changed. Okay, and the old gray mare just ain't what it used to be. Okay, things are changing out there, and they want to find out how these two wonderful superintendents are managing their districts into the future and seeing what specifically they're going to do. We're going to archive the show like we always do over at ace-ed.org. That's ace-ed.org. That's the home website of our American Consortium for Equity in Education. And over there we have a lot of work on SEL. We have a lot of work on teacher retention, which is a big, big thing. We're very, very concerned about that. As you know, 50% of teachers, people like you who are listening, are thinking of leaving the profession. We don't want that to happen. You're too good, and it hurts the kids. All right, so we're doing everything we can to make sure that all school districts understand your incredible professionalism and give you all the training, expertise, et cetera, you need. So check out what we're doing at teacherretention.com. And, of course, this podcast will be archived over there as well. Please click on the cover of our magazine, which is called Equity and Access. We're the only ones that focus on equity and access pre-K-12. We publish every other month. The new issue is up there. Just click on the cover. It's a darn good magazine, and we hope you enjoy it like so many other people do if you haven't looked at it yet. So without further ado, let me bring on my two guests. Good morning, Mary and Larry Jacobs. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm thrilled you're here, and I want to give you all the credit in the world because it's 6:04 out there.
Yes, it is. Thank you. I was going to mention that. Yes, it's darn early.
Yes. You sound bright and cheery and wonderful.
I am. I've had
in the morning.
Yeah, I've had two sips of coffee.
I'm all the way
Look
across
out.
the country from you. Yes.
Okay.
So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. Mary Templeton, everybody of Washougal Schools. We'll define Washougal in just a few minutes. Corey, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Corey. How you doing? I'm Larry. Nice to meet you, Corey.
Larry.
Right?
Sorry, a little bit late. I got trapped at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. A lot of.
It's better than being stopped by a traffic cop, so that's good. That's good. It's okay. Yeah. Look on the bright side. Okay? It's okay. And I appreciate you being here. I know you're both busy. And it's 8 in the morning there, so I'm not going to give you the same incredible kudos that I gave to Mary.
Mary's the award winner here, too. Hi, Mary.
Hi. Good morning, Corey.
Okay, I got to tell you, Corey, a funny story. I used to live in McHenry many years ago. I lived
for a long time in
the Chicago area. Yeah. Okay. And I lived in McHenry when McHenry was still small. Okay, it's much bigger now. And by the way, Mary, McHenry, Illinois is named like Fort McHenry. It's the same McHenry. The first.
I had no idea.
There you go, right near Corey. But the funny story, Corey's in Harvard, Illinois. Okay. I had a buddy of mine who used to be an engineer on the old Northwest Railroad. Okay, Corey?
Yeah.
And everybody asked him where he went to college, and he always looked at them straight and said, I went to Harvard via Northwestern.
Very
he drove that train.
You can definitely
drove that train to Harvard. There you go. Okay.
We are the last stop on the Northwest line.
I know that.
In Harvard. So I finally made it to Harvard.
and it could go further to Washougal. Okay, let's find out about Washougal. Then we're going to talk about Harvard. This is amazing. Mary, if I read right, you're like on the southern border of Washington, right? You're right.
Yes,
you're
we are
to
right.
Portland than Seattle.
Yeah, actually, we're like about 12 miles from Portland. In fact, I can get to the Portland airport and IKEA in about 14 minutes. I've timed it. So yeah, that's the landmark. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, talk about it. Let's hear about Washougal. What's Washougal like? Give us a definition. Tell us about the school district, and then we're going to ask Corey the same thing about good old Harvard.
Yeah, so we are right on the National Scenic Area, so we're right at the beginning of that. So that is it's beautiful here. So that's the first thing. We're about 3,000 students from our demographics. We have about 40 of our students are qualifying for reduced meals. We've got about 20% of our students identify as students of color. We've got about 18% of our students are being served with an individual education plan. So that kind of gives you in a nutshell, kind of who we are.
Right, and is it like K-12, appropriate K-12?
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yes, we are a K-12 district, and what's interesting being involved in AASA is I get to talk to folks who are running districts that are not K-12, because that's what I know in my experience. I'm like, oh, what would that be like to run a high school district? Right, and which we went to one, and I was like, that's fascinating. No, but we're K-12.
Yeah, so you must know people from Illinois, which is where all this happens.
I do.
Talk
Actually,
to Corey
yes.
about this in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, makes me crazy. Like I said, I used to live there. Makes me nuts. By the way, can you see Mount Hood from Washougal?
Oh my gosh, it is the most beautiful view ever. So that's why we are quite the draw, because we've got the river and the mountain view. It's just on any day, when you've got the snow like right now, and in the summertime, you just got the beautiful sunshine and the mountain. It's beautiful.
The only way I can top that is I live in Maine, but I live close to the New Hampshire border, okay, in southwestern Maine. And if I go to literally to the top of the hill I live on, I get a clear view 70 miles away about Washington. That's as good as we can get out here on the East Coast.
Wow, that's very cool. That's
beautiful.
Yes. Well, I'll go up to the top of the mountain. You go up to the top of the mountain on the same time, and I'll look and see if I can see you. How about that?
We'll wave.
We'll wave.
Hi, Mary, how you doing? 3,000 miles away. All right. Corey, but Mary just summed it up, okay? Illinois school districts, I love Illinois, but it drives me crazy because half of them are K1, K8, K5, K12, K57, okay? Tell us about Harvard Community Unit School District, which one? 50, which is labeled number 50, by the way.
Yeah, well, in Illinois, if you are a unit district, that means you are at least K to 12. We are pre-K to 12.
Oh, right. So there you go.
We are surrounded by districts that we have some high school districts, and I used to work in a district that was just for high schools in Crystal Lake. So that is uniquely Illinois. I came from Wyoming originally, so that was all new to me when I got out here to Illinois. So fascinating, but Harvard is a really special place because Larry, you'd know this. I say this is where the suburbs finally die, Chicago, because we are very much kind of an agricultural place, but we're at the end of the train line, so we have a lot of suburban commuters, and so it's really just a really wonderful blend. We're a district of about 2,700 students now. And it's a kind of a lead into our lighthouse discussion. But one of the things that's really special about our community is that we have this really wonderful, rich, diverse community, and that's most especially evident in the language spoken. And that's kind of what our lighthouse program designation is about, is our dual language program, because about 65% of our families identify as Hispanic, and then of those, probably about 45%, that's the first language at home, although many of our families are now second generation, and so a lot of these students are growing up, and we as the schools are the ones that are teaching them their Spanish because their families have assimilated, English is predominant. So there's a lot of families that are, that we are the mechanism, just like it was for me when I grew up. I had Mexican grandparents, but I didn't learn any Spanish really other than, watching my grandpa, watch boxing and swear. That's the only way I learned any Spanish until I got to school, and a lot of our kids here in Harvard are the same way. But it's a wonderful, vibrant community, and we really are kind of re-identifying what is possible in a community like ours, because we've been plagued by low expectations for a long time. But now that things are kind of popping, people are saying, "Whoa, look at what we can do if we set our expectations a little bit higher."
And how long have you been there, Corey?
This is my 6th year now. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's what Mary and I are told is beyond the national average. So we're feeling good.
Yes,
Mary, how long have you been in WASHOUGAL?
This is my 5th year here. Yeah.
That's congrats to both of you. Thank God for that. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, sustained leadership is so important. Okay, and it used to be the superintendent last 3 years, you're lucky, and boom, they're gone. So 5 and 6, and I get the feeling you'll probably be continuing. I think that's just great. Okay, I really do. And I got to ask, Corey, any relation to Michelle Tafoya, the famous sportscaster?
Well, my grandma had actually tracked that back for me, that we are distantly related. I've never met her, but it's kind of like going to the family reunion and your mom and dad introduce you to people that you don't know how you're related. She was using a lot of names of people that I didn't have any clue who they were. But my grandma believes we are distantly related, but I've never.
Tell Grandma, tell Abuela she's right. She probably are related. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure she was right, but I couldn't piece all the connections together.
That's great. And what you said about Harvard, we left there a long time ago now. Okay, when we were in McHenry, and your description of the district, how diverse it has become, is beautiful. Yeah. Okay, it's a nice thing, and I hope everybody's learning from each other. It's just. Go ahead.
It is. It's really a wonderful, and that's really been embraced by the community largely. And then, actually, what we're going to talk about with this award, I mean, just kind of a final check mark saying, okay, this is a place where this is valued, and we appreciate the benefit, because it wasn't easy to start this, because there was certainly resistance on the onset before I was even here.
Well, that's good for change, I got to tell you. Let's go over to Mary, because I know she's taking coffee intravenously this morning to get through this.
I am. I've had 5 sips now. Look out.
And I'm concerned. I want to make sure the bag of coffee has enough to get you through this at what is it now, 6:12? Okay.
Yeah, like a strong cup.
There.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations on being named a Lighthouse District. And what that means, basically, you're welcome. And what that means, okay, is that you now are a beacon of light. Okay. You're going to guide other people in. All right? So, congratulations.
Well, I'm feeling the pressure. Well, yes,
yeah, exactly. Now there's the responsibility. Now there's the responsibility of doing it. What was it in your district that AASA picked out that they decided to name WASHOUGAL a Lighthouse District? And Corey, that question's coming your way too, my friend. Yeah. Let's do Mary first.
So they selected us based on social, emotional, and cognitive growth, using multiple measures of that growth. And the part that really catches my attention is the multiple measures. We have, on almost every area, doggedly pursuing, how do we see each child? How do we know each child's family? How do we create a sense of belonging and purpose for every child? That's just been the mantra, and that's how we think we're going to rise, so that every kid has a ticket to their future. So that's kind of what they identified. So we've got quite a few exciting programs, but it's not one thing. And I think that really is, and when I say I feel the pressure, is that how do you keep balancing those things that you're doing and constantly evaluating, is this one using metrics? Is this one getting us there? And if it isn't, then how do we move to our energy to the ones that are working? So anyway, so that's a little bit, and I can get into some of the details around that.
Well, you can, actually. Go ahead. I wanted to get into the weeds a little bit with you. And let me just ask a question. How are you assessing it? And the other question is, SEL's been a term around for a long, long time now, okay? And it's kind of been over there. Everybody knew it was kind of necessary, but it was an extra thing. You got other stuff to do, okay? We've all been trying, and we believe in it quite strongly. We even have a website called seltoday.org, and we publish a little magazine about that, which you're welcome, guys, to subscribe to if you want to. It's free, okay? And, we think it's important, but became even more important with the pandemic. And now we're, thank God, post-pandemic. Mary, how long have you been working with the ESL specifically in the WASHOUGAL schools? How has it changed over the over the last couple of years? And then also, how are you assessing it? Which is, to me, is so key. And the fourth thing, which I just said the whole thing here, is how did you train your teachers to teach it? Because this has been my complaint. I'm just going to say this. Every superintendent in the world wants to have SEL in their community. Okay, it's part and parcel of what we expect in a school district. There's not a single education school in the country that I know of that's teaching it. Nobody's teaching a teacher how to teach SEL, and yet it falls on the superintendents, Mademoiselle Lighthouse. You are now a beacon of light. Okay, it falls on the superintendents to bring it in and somehow train their teachers. Okay, Mary, you're on.
Okay, so here's what I have to say about that.
By the way, if you can answer all that, I'll give you a doctorate from the University of Larry. That's a lot of questions.
Perfect. I would love to be a graduate of University of Larry. So here we go.
I'm
going to give
school,
my best
big
shot.
Football team, huge football team.
I want a scholarship. That's what I want. Okay, so here's the first thing I want to say is that one of your opening statements was about how we have a teacher shortage and we've got to retain and keep our bright teachers. One of the ways that we do that is we provide a context for them to feel confident and successful, because nobody wants to be on a team that's not successful. We all want to be on a winning team. So as we are moving through in WASHOUGAL, we're talking about very specific, discrete components of this SEL package, and we are training our staff on each of them. We're also raising the expectations. Here's an example. At our elementary schools, morning meetings are happening in every classroom every day. And you would say, well, how did you do that? We spent, during the pandemic, when there was a lot of chaos going on, we really focused in on the work of equity. And at the end of the day, that's what a lot of this work is. How do you see each child? How do you create an environment and a context where every kid has voice and every kid has a strong sense of belonging? So that's what those morning meetings are doing, and we went through a lot of protocols, almost 2 years of working with that component, and our labor unit in the state of Washington, so Washington Education Association, they were our partners in that. So there's a bit of a risk to begin with, because you typically are talking to your labor partners when you're negotiating. But we said, you know what, let's work together outside of a negotiation, and let's see if we can train our teachers, because that really is that's the linchpin to keep our teachers and to create better I don't even want to say better, different environments that we're teaching in, because I believe that our teachers are working darn hard, and they're good at what they do. What we've mistakenly told them is that this is how it should look in a classroom, and I think we've got it wrong. I think we have to stop the wheel. We have to check in with each of the children and create a strong relationship between teacher and student. I'm going to say that again, and let that sink in. What is a strong relationship? That is, the teacher is vulnerable and says, this is who I am. And we don't do that as teachers because we've been told don't do that. But we have to. We have to get to that space where we're vulnerable and say, this is who I am. And then we have to ask our students and be open to listening and learning about who our children are. And that's that strong teacher-student relationship, but it doesn't end there. What I think we've also missed is, how do you create strong student-to-student relationships? And that's where that strong sense of belonging and social-emotional wellness, that's where you lay that context for learning. Because I feel like I belong here. I feel good about me. I feel supported. And I've got the skills to verbalize how I'm feeling. And that's what happens in a 20-minute session in the morning. And it's interesting because being in this business for 30 years, I've always felt like, okay, we can't do that because we got to get to the curriculum. And my friends, we will never, ever get to the curriculum if we don't get to the humanity of who we are first.
Here.
There. Long answer to your long question.
Great answer. Corey won't be able to top that when I ask him his question.
No way.
I'm
writing notes.
Okay. It's great.
No, I think you can top
send
that,
you guys the link to this so everybody can hear Mary say all that again. Okay?
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right. Now, I'm going to continue this, though. Okay? As you look at this, okay, Mary, what was the teacher's reaction? Because we are, and not the colloquial way, we're always asking them to do more, okay? And now we're asking them to do SEL, which has to be, in my opinion, incorporated into school, because quite frankly, if Mary just said, if people aren't happy and engaged, they're not going to learn. What's the difference what the curriculum is? Okay, they're not going to learn if they're not engaged. All right, and happy and content and resilient and all those phrases that we use. Yeah. Okay, and it's important. So how do the teachers and I know that reacted well. Okay, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but how did the teachers react? Maybe at first, okay, and how'd you go about training them, and how do you assess all this? How did, talking about all this, the morning meeting, but how did they still to teach this stuff or incorporate it? Maybe is a better way to put it. How'd you get to that? And by the way, I'm going to say it's harder for a secondary school teacher, a subject teacher, so to speak, than an elementary school teacher. I was a history teacher, so it's harder to do this. So just talk about that. And Corey, we will get to you. I promise. I just want to
I'm taking notes. Great.
Yeah. First of all, let me start with how do you measure that? So how do you know that it's working? So you've got that qualitative data, which is I'm seeing it. It actually is happening. It isn't something that sometimes a principal might say, hey, first grade teachers, how about if you did a morning meeting? It is systematized. So that's a qualitative piece. But we're also using social emotional screeners, things that I didn't even know about 10 years ago. I didn't know what that was. So we have these robust screeners that we are asking our children, how are you feeling? How is it going? How are you doing? We are reaching out to our community and our families, because how families are doing is how children are doing. So those are the pieces that we're grabbing onto to do some of that measurement. As it relates to the teachers, clearly you're like, are you kidding me? Right? But during
sounds like me when I was teaching.
I know.
Yeah.
But during COVID, here's the special secret. That's what teachers were doing during COVID when we were remote, is that you were working almost in a sense individually with a kid, getting to know the kid, and it's like you hung out in their living room, which is something we've never done. So what happens when you hang out in a kid's living room? You get to know the family, you get to know the kid, you get to see what the kid's interested in, you get to see who they really are. Instead of this thin slice of humanity, we got to see the full package. So when we started to talk about how important this is, teachers had already seen how important it was. And they hadn't yet articulated what is that, and we just tried to frame and articulate that's what that was, and we got to keep that going. Anyway, so that's just a little bit. That's a short answer. That's a shorter one.
It's a good answer. Great. It's a great answer, and it's true. And I always hate to say it because the pandemic cost a lot of lives and a lot of disruption. Okay, it was not a good thing, but good things have to come out of it. Okay, we can't. It's a horribly negative thing, but good things came out of it, and if we can reassess what we're doing, okay, and like you said, get into the kids' living rooms, which, we never have that opportunity, okay? It makes all the difference in the world. That was really great. Corey, okay, what are you guys working on over there in Harvard, Illinois?
Well, one of the things that occurs to me is Mary talked about that nature of deepening the relationship between home and school. And that's really the genesis of where our Lighthouse recognition came from, is our dual language program, which is a instructional program which by design gives our students, and this is available pre-K all the way through our graduates, where they can receive their content and instruction both in English and Spanish. It's designed as a 50-50 model. But it really is that connection piece that Mary mentions about how do we really see the humanity of our kids and identify this gift that many of our students are coming to us with, this ability to speak fluent and beautiful Spanish, identify that not as a deficit, because that's one of the things that a lot of programs, ESL, ELL programs are kind of built on, is like, we got to get you caught up, but not recognizing many students are coming to us with this gift, and it's kind of discarded. It's okay, we're not going to help you with your Ukrainian or your Polish or whatever language you might also be coming to us with. But this is really identified to cultivate both language simultaneously, and we have some goals in our district. We call them our big, hairy, audacious goals, our BHAGs from Jim Collins' work. And we have 6 of them, but one of our goals is that 50% of our graduates would earn the seal of biliteracy, which is a state designation for accomplishments on AP testing and SAT and big standardized tests in both languages. And that could be ASL, because we also have some students testing in ASL. We have student testing in Arabic, but primarily for us it's Spanish and English. And so it's a really kind of plant the stake in the ground, saying this is one of our core values that we're not going to move off on, that we think this provides a really an anchor point for our community to understand that we value both the accomplishment in both English and Spanish. It's something that we think has great transferability to your career. If we want to talk about our Young Grow Your Own Teacher program, we are graduating students that go through our dual language program that we're now able to encourage to be teachers, and because we're dying to find as many Spanish-speaking teachers as we can find. But now, because of this program, we're kind of showing them that there's a nice pathway to rejoin us back here in the district as a teacher. So it's really a community project as much as it is individual day-to-day instruction. And it really is a challenge because my own 3 kids went through the dual language program, and it's sometimes, especially for the English speaking families, a little bit of a challenge when your kid comes home and says, Mom, for half the day I didn't know what in the world they're talking about. And that becomes a real coaching piece, and that, again, that connection to families saying, hang with it, you're going to. And it starts that way, but by the time you finish, you're fluent, and that's just a part of the process of learning the language and training your ear, and then you can learn how to write, and it all kind of comes to the first the listening, and then the speaking, and then the reading, and then the writing. It all is a process, but it's really a 50-50 model that half your day is instruction in content area in Spanish and half the day is content area in English. And so you're going to have that that split by design, by content, and it's really designed so that all curricular pieces are covered and the content is covered, but it is done intermittently between whichever language you happen to be in with that situation. So it's really designed intentionally so that as they go through, they, for example, would always have both English and Spanish language arts, but they will also have often science done in Spanish, and that might be as they go through. So we have about 7% of our primary grades are students in the dual language program. So that kind of tells you the popularity of it. So, for example, in our K-3 building, we have 10 sections of most of our grades there. 7 of them typically, or sometimes 6 and sometimes 8, are dual language sections. So we really do have a community buy into this, and it's something that people really see the vitality and usefulness to.
Oh, it's incredible because it builds so much cultural respect in the community between the groups. It's absolutely, it's just such a great thing. And I have to go back to something else here just to bring the two things together. You said you love to find students who speak Spanish and will come back and teach, in Harvard, And Mary was saying how, teacher retention, she works so hard on that. And a lot of the school districts, not all, but most have like a kind of a grow your own program. We want the kids to come back somehow, and teach in our district. And people are always saying, we can't find enough diverse teachers, African American, Latino, whatever. Why not? And it goes back to the social emotional learning. If kids are happy in school,
that's right,
more of them are more than likely to wish to spend their adult years in school. If you're unhappy in school, and you're not learning anything, and the teachers aren't right, and you're not emotionally good at it, in school, you're not going to come back as a teacher. Why would you go back and spend time in a place that you had such a lousy time for 12 years? Nobody would.
Yep.
So the SEL, and the cultural, the dual language work together to build a future for the school district in terms of bringing kids back. It's all part and parcel of the same thing. But I hear Mary saying yes, and and Corey, it's terrific. But I got to ask, how are you finding that many teachers who can speak Spanish?
Well, it really is an ongoing challenge that we are never really a day off in terms of recruiting and examining how we can improve and attract people. And the markets are changing a little bit too. I don't know, Mary, where what you're seeing though is, it used to be you'd go to a job fair and kids would line up. I call them kids; they're college graduates,
right.
But they would line.
I call them kids too.
Oh, good. Well, they line up and just you
I got news for I call 50-year-olds kids, so that's the difference.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
At a minimum, you got 50 kids lined up to talk to you and excited, and you have 100 applicants for every position. Well, it's just certainly not that way anymore. And so one of the things that we have to do, that's even more challenges, is that to sustain the program, you really have to be recruiting all the time. So we have teachers that are a part of a program through the state of Illinois that from Spain. I think we have probably about 10 teachers that are from Spain.
They
that
don't
are
speak Spanish.
They know a little bit about Spanish.
I would think so, yeah.
And then we recruit in Puerto Rico. We work with Greenheart, who does the visa, and so we get teachers. We have teachers from Chile and Bolivia. So we don't close our minds to any possible idea that might help us try to find people in any way. But the grow your own has to be a component of that, and we're starting to see the benefit of that kind of growth in our own program to show them that there's a real pathway. But the other thing that's really unique is there are a lot of places now where if you are bilingual, there's a sign-on bonus, or there's a lot of incentives now, and so that's what we've kind of thought of that as a corporate type of thing where you get a signing bonus if you're signing on to the accounting firm or insurance, but now that's something that we haven't really ventured into, but we're looking around at our neighbors who are doing that, saying, okay, if we want to stay competitive and we want to attract the very best and brightest that we think our kids deserve, we're going to have to play ball a little bit more in that. And so that's something that I've noticed as a change just recently. We went to a job fair in Texas, and our Cubs hats that we wore were kind of cute, but it didn't pay the bills necessarily to get people to, overcome the relocation bonuses and things that some of the Texas districts have had. So we're going to have to really look into that a little deeper.
Right. I'll give you the greatest trivia question. I was just on the phone with friends from Chicago, Corey. You'll never get this one, Mary. Wrigley Field, home of the Cubbies?
Yeah,
Corey?
Yeah. Love it.
It wasn't always Wrigley Field. What was it before that? There you go.
I am not going to get this one. Okay,
you're not going to get it.
I don't know. I don't know.
This is a great trivia. It was originally called Weigman Field. Weigman Field, and it was some crazy like the Chicago Bulls, or not the Bulls, they're basketball, obviously. Some crazy name of a team, like the Chicago Federals or something. Okay, and it was for baseball. Then it became Cubs Park, and then around 1935 it became Wrigley Field. I always thought it was always Wrigley Field. Yeah, there you go. Mary, I'm sorry to get off the track there. He brought up the Cubs. I'm sorry.
No, I just learned an important fact that I might be able to use at trivia night and win down the road.
That's right.
So there you go.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Okay, well, you want trivia? All right, here's one. I'll give this one, then we'll get back to the subject. All right, name any two colleges that have the same name as a color. Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, well, Jiminy Christmas. I don't know. I got to think. Color, huh?
Color. College is a color.
Color. You know what? I'm gonna pass
it's
to
only,
my partner,
Mary,
Corey.
It's only 6:30 in the morning. It's 6:30 in the morning.
Corey, is cardinal a color? Is cardinal?
No, not the team. Not the team. The college.
Oh, the college itself.
Yeah.
Oh.
One's pretty easy. I'll give you a hint. Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Brown University. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
That was
the other one for your friends in Alabama is Auburn, and there's two more, but we won't get into that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All I can say right now is that as soon as I get done with my cup of coffee after this, I'm going out and finding a trivia morning. It's not going to be a trivia night. I'm going right now because I'm ready.
At IHOP,
I'm warmed
everybody.
up.
Trivia at IHOP.
Colleges with colors. I got you.
Corey, I got to ask you something. You said earlier about language, and I think you said ASL, like American Sign Language, or did you say ESL?
Right. No,
so
ASL. ASL program. Yeah, because that's part of our goal to graduate 50% of our students with the seal of biliteracy, and it can come in any way. So we will. Our program is developing now where we'll have graduates that can test and show that high level of proficiency in ASL as well as English to earn the.
Yeah, that's terrific. And one other question I have about that, you brought this up. You said like Ukrainian. You used the word Ukrainian kids. Okay, and every school district has kids from all over the world. Okay, everybody says they have 20, 30 languages, whatever. With the Spanish, okay, you've got dual language Spanish English. Okay.
Yep.
I have two questions. A, the kids whose first language may not be either one. How's that work? Okay, and they do need to learn other languages. All right? I can't remember the other question. You answer that one. I'll think of the other one in a second.
Well,
I have another one in mind.
The default process, actually, I mean, it's what's interesting about research is the best thing for an ESL student actually is we call it the Cadillac standard, this kind of two-way immersion, which is what our students getting. So we actually, with associate support, we're talking recently, we've had students in Ukrainian, we have some students that speak Arabic, we have Urdu, we have a lot of different languages. They go into our dual language program. That is our ESL. So when we have kids that, for example, come and they have only Spanish, they all go into our dual language program because that is known as that has the best results for gaining that. But they do need support, and so often what we do is we have an associate that is probably tied to that kid a little bit more closely to kind of help them. And because there's such a wide variety, sometimes it is really reliant on Google Translate and things like that. But it's remarkable how quickly they learn the language. But they have to have that tied-in support. But what is interesting about brain development and language development is that when those things are being taught, the Spanish and English, they don't really see the difference, and so they can simultaneously be learning both. But the trick for us actually becomes, because we want to honor their first language, we want to find ways that as we explore and kind of give them some differentiation, is we want to find ways for them to maintain and keep their literacy in their first language, which they come to us, because that's the last thing we want to do is have them dishonor their first language. But it's a challenge if you have an instructor in Arabic or Polish or French or whatever the language might be.
And by the way, myopic me, I have a mea culpa here. I just went at that like a kid who is Ukrainian and speaks Ukrainian. Okay, and I'm thinking to myself, well, it's going to be much more. It's much easier for them to speak English to learn English than it is Spanish, and that is the most ridiculous mindset. Okay, it's it's just as easy for them to learn Spanish as it is English.
Well, in fact, I would argue it's easier to learn Spanish because I'm a former Spanish teacher. And because of
I'm a former German teacher. Wow, I didn't know that. That's
the Spanish, just because of the vowels and the consistent pronunciation of the vowels, it's much easier than actually English to learn. Because English, God, what a horrible language.
A lot of exceptions. A lot of a lot of exceptions.
The best example is, why is good and food said differently when they're the exact same word? And we can go into detail. My wife was an ESL teacher. Okay,
it's going to be comida. It's going to be comida in español every single time without hesitation.
Right. Former German teacher, former Spanish teacher.
Yes.
All right.
I didn't know that, Mary. That's great.
Yeah, well,
Yes, Mary, you were going to say?
Well,
Mary?
I was just going to say that ASL is a wonderful opportunity. We have in fact, I have more students taking ASL than I have Spanish at the high school. We've got two phenomenal teachers. That probably has a lot to do with it. But just thinking about how we're honoring the differently gifted children and families when we are teaching ASL, in the same way that we're honoring families whose first language is not English. And I also think that from a language acquisition perspective, having been a teacher of language acquisition, you would have students come who already they were learning English as their third language, and they actually they were trying to learn German, and it was actually they were going faster because they're already making those connections with cognates and other ways that they can see the commonalities. And so, what a way to honor our families and our students with their gifts.
It really is. You know the old joke. You call somebody who knows one language, somebody who knows three languages, they're trilingual, and if you know two languages, you're bilingual, and if you know one language, you're American. You go to Europe, they all speak English or whatever you need. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And we've been doing it wrong for too long. We got to do it right. You guys are doing that, both with the social emotional, with Mary's Lighthouse District in Washougal, Washington, right by Portland, great place. Okay, and Corey in Harvard, Illinois, at the end of the Northwestern. Okay, you go in that, man. Bring back memories, my friend. Both of you are wonderful. Congratulations to both of you for being lighthouse districts. After talking to you, I can understand why. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
Kids are lucky, the teachers are lucky, and you're lucky too. Okay, to have them.
Every day.
You know?
We both feel lucky to be in public education at this time because it is unique. I don't know about you, Corey, but this is my 30th year in public education, and it's never been like this before. And it's never had as many challenges, but it's not had as much opportunity ever before. This place that we're at, which is, you know what, let's just talk about it, that some of the things we've been doing have not been working for all the children.
Yeah.
And the way public education works, it's always worked well for many children, but not for all. So for the first time ever, can we reframe our systems significantly enough where we look at our data points and no longer do we say, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, that kid has an IEP. You know, that's why. But rather we look at our data and it says children are children and they're all special, unique, and gifted, and they're all exceeding their potential. That's what I think we're all after, and that's why I believe AASA, for me personally, inspires me, because that's what they're about.
Oh.
Stop doing what we've always done and think about it differently.
Wow. Well said. Beautifully said, I might add. Okay, and you're right. You know, it's always worked well for some, and we got to make it work well for everyone. That's what equity is. That's what it's all about. Leading the way, like I said, beacons in the night, a lighthouse district in Harvard, Illinois. Okay, Washougal, Washington, these two great superintendents. We'll be in touch. Okay, thank you, Corey. Thank you, Mary. You guys are wonderful. And again,
thank you
Mary,
so much.
Thanks for getting up so early. You did incredible.
Well, you know what? Gosh, now that I'm up, I'm going to get like so much done. So you've actually helped me for my day. So anyway, Corey, it was nice to chat with you, and I'll see you at some future event.
I'm sure so. Good to talk to you.
Okay,
thank
bye-bye.
you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, are they super or what? And a big thank you to Jimmy Minicello over at Minicello over at AASA for putting the show together this morning. All right, always great stuff working with them. All right, wow, two great superintendents, so thoughtful and working so hard to do the right thing. You heard them. All right, we're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org, which is where everything we do just happens to be. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. Thanks for listening.